Welcome. We are the Aussie guys. Where's G? I'm AJ. Here with me is G. And we have Ben Harler on board. How are you, Ben?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, AJ. Just obviously, like everyone now, waiting for the grand entrance from G.
Whatever's going to happen here. He said, put the 30 seconds on and I'll be back. So I'm expecting him to come out naked or something.
Yeah.
Who knows
last time there was a blindfold, so, who knows, right?
Oh, it's probably something for week 2. So listen, week 1 of the NFL season is in the bag. It was a fantastic start. Oh, wow, he's suited up. My goodness, you've never worn a suit in your life. No, your wedding. Your wedding?
I need, based on what we'll be doing today, I need representation. So some of my, you can see I'm struggling with putting a tie on. You got to do the top button up. I try and get away without doing the top button.
No, you need the top button on.
Yeah, I know, but it shows all your turkey neck and all that.
Yeah, but you got to do it.
Yeah.
The first thing the judge says to you, get your top button sorted out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you do the Windsor knot?
No, I just got Trace to do. I think it was her old Cora days at private school.
Very good.
Okay.
Are the sleeves rolled up there, G, or is it just a little bit of a different style you've got?
No, it's just a different style I've got. No, they're tucked in there somewhere. Yeah, just hopefully put it on. But usually, no, when I get dressed, man, it's all proper. Like you can see, I got my
like the handkerchief as well.
Yeah.
Very slick. Very slick. Well, listen,
you're right.
Week 1 of NFL action, and I didn't really write a summary of it, but maybe just mention your highlight. The games that I watched. I started with the Chargers game. That was great. A good win by the Chargers and a good game. Certainly the Washington football team looked great, and they looked great. I was going to say today, yesterday, 2 days ago, if you're in the States. And then I watched the Chiefs and the Browns, which was a cracking game.
Yeah, that's a great game.
All the game. The games that I watched were all great for various reasons. But guys, highlights, week 1?
I think the first game I watched was the Browns and the Chiefs.
Yep.
I think just that whole game. It was great. The whole game was fantastic. It really, great effort by the Browns. Mahomes doing his. If anybody else did it on any given week, you'd all be going, "Oh my God, did you see what whoever did?" But Mahomes is just—it's the norm, isn't it?
It's the one really is. The throw where he's like sprinting to the sideline and he just hits Tyreek Hill inside the cornerback. John Johnson, great cornerback. They brought him over for the Rams. Like, you could just see his reaction afterwards. He was like, "Man, what? Like, I had Tyreek all the way. What was I meant to do?" Like, just unbelievable.
Yeah, throwing it around guys, and not just around them. He's throwing it from below his hip around guys. Just. Anybody else it'd be a highlight reel, but it doesn't make it with him anymore because it's just who he is. It was great. Disappointments. Falcons were terrible. Terrible. The first 2 drives are going, here we go. Well, the first driver said, here we go. We look fired up as usual. We get down to the inside, the red zone, and it's all over. It's just. And I think, honestly, now I've seen it so many times being a Falcons fan. It's not play calling. It has to be Matt Ryan. It just has to be Matt Ryan that there's something that he just can't do when he doesn't have enough field to play with. So he sucks. He does. This is what he looks like when he goes to school. Yeah, with the blazer underneath. Like the cardigan or whatever he wears, the jumper underneath.
And G, I'm already feeling sorry for Kyle Pitts, if I'm honest. Like, you think, a guy like that who potentially could take the league by storm this year. And
he's stuck with a quarterback like that.
Yeah.
But
let me.
And he looked slow. He looked terrible. I'm sorry to go on. This is not a Falcons pod, but seeing that I support them, Ryan looked terrible. He looked terrible. And I think this is who he is now.
However, let me say, week 1, it's not the time to overreact. It's 1 week, right? As Aaron Rodgers says, let's quote the man, the MVP himself. It's 1 week. There's 16 to go. 16, 17, 16 to go.
Well, I think we've had 2 weeks now of Saquon Barkley, and I'm out.
Ooh.
And it's got nothing to do with one. You can see he doesn't trust the knee. There were times when he cut, but is he the softest running back in the NFL at the moment? Like, I don't mean he just physically is not tough. Like, you watch that game, it was terrible to watch. And then you go and watch Antonio Gibson run, and just with running through guys and bringing contact on, and Barkley is doing everything he can to avoid any type of contact. And don't tell me that's his knee, because he's never been a very physical runner. But I think it showed up terribly. He looked. I would have just given it to
Booker,
the backup Booker. I would have just given it to Booker.
But gee, they didn't need to give it to Booker, because their number 1 rusher is Daniel Jones.
Fantastic.
He was
great.
He looked good.
Look at the limitations he's obviously still got with his mechanics and his, the way that he struggles to go through his progressions, etc. Well, if you can make that up by rushing for 95 yards and a touchdown, like, they didn't lose that game because of Daniel Jones. He put them in some good positions. He moved the sticks, and he gave them an opportunity. So like Barkley, if you're a fantasy owner with Barkley, there's some big red flags beyond the knee, right? Beyond it. So yeah, for sure. I think my highlight was actually, and this pains me to say it, given the cap, right? Joey Burrow was absolutely fantastic against the Vikings. The pass, the deep ball to Jamar Chase. I don't know if you saw somebody linked it up on Twitter with an LSU. It was like a copy, but he was fired up. His leadership came through. He was hitting receivers everywhere. And yeah, I just thought he was a joy to watch. And even though the Vikings came back and, got a kicker that could actually kick, which was good. And I thought, hey, we're in with a chance here. And then Dalvin Cook fumbles and we lose. So yeah, I thought that game, I enjoyed watching it, obviously as a Vikings fan, but at the same time, great to see Burrow back, looking like he could really take, the next step this season as well.
Can I just talking about kickers, and we never talk about kickers, but Graham Gano, did every ball that he kicked not split dead center no matter where he kicked it from?
And I think it's 23 or 26 straight kicks now. 26.
But it's not just that; it's the ease in which he kicks the ball. Like, he kicked one from 55 and he sort of stabbed at it. He didn't even kick through it. It's just all timing. And it's just straight as a die. Okay, that's enough about kickers. But I just sort of, 55 yards out, I know it's your job, but to split it, 50-50 down the guts every time is a very good effort.
But it's this. And you know what the next person who's lining up, so special teams, the Giants are going to kick a field goal. If I'm on the opposite line, I'm calling out to him and saying, "Hey, Graham, it's 26 in a row. Well done." That's what I'm calling out to him.
Okay.
Good point by Hutchie, though. I think Washington were extremely unlucky against the Chargers. If it hadn't been for that Antonio Gibson fumble inside his own 5 last week, that gave kind of Herbert the chance to, Herbert was fantastic. I mean, he was much better than his stat line showed. But Washington were unlucky to lose last week against the Chargers, and after Heineke's performance the other night,
they played well,
and they were lucky, and they were lucky to win on Thursday night
against the Giants. Yeah, you're right, but they look good. They look good. And speaking of which, the rookie wide receivers have come out of the box. I mean, obviously Jamar Chase, Waddle. Who else am I thinking of? Rondale Moore. Who else?
Elijah Moore.
Yeah. No. But who is the other one who put up big stat lines? There's one more I'm thinking of, I'm sure.
Oh, there's a few. I can't think off the top of my head. But can I just
Jamar Chase is probably the big one.
When I just brought up Elijah Moore.
Devonta Smith got a touchdown. And,
he did.
Oh, it's Devonta Smith I'm thinking of. Yes. Yep.
Can I just say I never saw David Carr his rookie season. Everybody said just that was killed his, him as a quarterback. But did I not watch it for the Jets? Did I not just see? Did I watch Derek Carr? Is Derek Carr the quarterback for the Jets with that offensive line? If you understand what I'm saying. Well,
you didn't think Zach Wilson was good?
No, it's not Zach Wilson, mate. He had no chance in hell.
Yeah,
that offensive line was terrible. The poor guy. That's what I mean. I was watching. I never saw Derek Carr, but I figured that Zach Wilson is what Derek Carr was when he was at the Texans.
You mean
that's what I expected
David
to see.
Carr.
Oh, sorry, David Carr. Sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they've lost Mekhi Becton now as well. Their first-round tackle from last year went off injured as well on that offensive line. So, yeah, I mean, it feels like revolving door. Wilson was adapted really well, and particularly in the second half, really showed what he can do out. But yeah, it was all out of the pocket scrambling.
He's going to have a tough year, Ben. He's going to have a tough year.
Yeah.
But don't judge him on this year, please. Not with that offensive line that I saw on the weekend, week one.
It looks like he's one of the rookie starting quarterbacks who's actually a starting quarterback. The other two seem to be gadget players who, you saw it with Fields and with Lance, like just coming in,
Lance,
weird times.
Yeah, and Lance again, who's known to they got him because of his running prowess. He's still, to me, even when he had the opportunities that's what the play called for. He just looked like he didn't know what to do. He didn't look like he knew what to do in pre-season. When do I run? Do I stop? What do I do? And I think he just looked like that again, even when he ran.
And it was probably Jimmy G's best performance, of his career as well, which doesn't really help the guy because nobody's talking about it. But he was way above whatever Lance was going to do.
Except for Lance comes in and throws the first TD of the game. It's like, you got to stay on the side.
Isn't that the rule now? Isn't that the rule? If you want your quarterback to produce, you draft another quarterback.
Yeah.
That's what happened in Green Bay. I mean,
maybe Green Bay should have done it again this year.
And look, it's probably been said already. The disappointing performance by Green Bay, and you've got to say, I mean,
does Rodgers throw like he doesn't give a fuck? Like he throws the balls. I don't know that's the way he throws the ball, but he throws with a very laconic sort of style. You know what I mean? Like very relaxed, chilled. But sometimes, I don't know, there was times he threw the ball, it's like, I don't give a shit where this, I know where it's going, but I'm just going to throw it.
I think he did that last year, didn't he?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It was a really poor performance.
Oh, it was a very poor performance. And contrast to the Bucks, who, of course, returned basically, all their team. Fresh out of the Super Bowl, it looked like it was the week after the Super Bowl. That was how fresh and together they were. And you've got to give it to Tom Brady. That guy is all business. That team is a team. and they came together on the field. They played like a team, cohesive. And Green Bay, where Aaron Rodgers being the crybaby diva all off season, and you've got the Devontae Adams stuff going on, you've got all this disruption, and then you expect them to come together as a team. Well, I think there's two different models right there, Tampa Bay and Green Bay.
Oh, without doubt.
And I think it's interesting. I think one of the things that I noticed in week one was who's been doing the work in the off season, who's shut up and got on with business compared to the drama and the carousel. I mean, we haven't really heard anything about Joey Burrow. Absolutely was brilliant. How much have we heard about Kirk Cousins and his plexiglass issues and all that jazz? Like, he was dreadful for the first 3 quarters, to be honest. And then, but another guy that I'm going to throw massive props to here that I just thought was brilliant last week, and I'm really excited to see, and I'm not a big fan of him overall, is Kyler Murray. I mean, I know fantasy-wise he's a huge productor, but, I mean, he took the Titans apart last week, and he did it in a number of ways. He wasn't just scrambling around looking for throws. He was. You could tell that he meant business. He's obviously worked on a lot in the off season, and I just thought his performance was great.
He still moves to one side of the line, left or right, doesn't he? Before he throws the ball. Very rarely did he just stay in the pocket. he has to get outside so he can see around somebody.
That's very true. That's very true.
And of course, the other big story is Jalen Hurts, who looked amazing. I get the question is, can he sustain it?
Calm down.
Calm down. Yeah, I know. But
look who he's playing against. They're appalling. Like,
of course, yeah, sure.
My wife was absolutely. She just looked at me with the dirtiest of looks when I walked out after watching the Falcons game, with the amount of swearing that was going on at the monitor. I was watching, and it's just, I'm not going to judge anybody that plays against the Falcons this year, how good they are on offense.
Sure.
Like the tackling running backs, if you got running backs starting start them because they can't tackle it. Besides Deion Jones, no one can lay a tackle. No idea.
Also, I'm going to say this though, G. You can only play the opposition you're playing.
Oh yeah.
So you know what?
Shit. So you should smash them, and that's what they did.
He did.
Yeah.
And they did.
Yep.
So yes, we have to see the Eagles against a tougher opponent. Yes, but he was impressive. He's impressive
against. He's impressive against the worst defense in the NFL. No, they are going to be the worst defense in the NFL.
Yeah, potentially. And guess who you're playing this week?
Yeah, I know. Start them all. Mate, Leonard Fournette's going to they probably
Ronald Jones.
Probably get 2 each.
Start Antonio Brown, start Gronk, start Godwin, start Evans. Yeah. Start the backup tight end. Start OJ Howard.
Hey, Brady's going to share the love because it's going to be that easy for him to do it this week.
Everybody gets a touchdown. Yay, everybody.
Well, I watched my one Falcons game for the year. That's it. Done. Finished.
It's one game. Don't overreact. It's one game.
No. My only other highlight from the first week was the Jared Goff inspired comeback from the Lions, which really everybody just went off saying what the is going on in Detroit, and it really felt like they were going to come back. It really did.
Did you? I had no idea that was going to happen. The only reason is I saw a glimpse that he threw for X amount of yards. I'm thinking, wait, there's no time left. He's not going to throw for all these yards. Someone's got something wrong, and all of a sudden, boom! It just exploded. It made a game that was so boring for 2 quarters. It's like basketball. Is what they say about basketball. You have to watch the last 2 minutes.
Yeah,
it was great. The last The last 5 minutes, 7 minutes, or whatever it was. Mate, it was great football.
Yeah. And it just makes you think, doesn't it? Like how much of it is inside the head, right? Like when the pressure's off, when you don't have to give a shit, and you just go and you throw the ball, like that's probably the best thing that a quarterback like Jared Goff can do this year. Like the Lions are, I think, up there with the Falcons on defense. They're dreadful. So he's going to have to be a bit more cavalier, which for fantasy is great. And maybe even he learns a few things and takes a step that he hasn't taken in the last few years. But yeah, that was fun.
Mate, Jamal Williams ran like a man possessed.
Yeah. And as you know, like as a number 2 back, in an offense, could be a good option depending on what kind of game you're playing every week.
Take it, AJ. Bench, give it to you on a plate.
It's a very good segue, isn't it, G? Why don't you explain what we're doing this week?
Well, why do I have to do it? Okay, so what we're doing week 2. Week 1 was what was the week 1 that we did?
I can't remember.
We had a bet about Najee Harris, and let me just see if the champagne's arrived yet. No, still not there.
It's coming. It's in the mail.
We went through all the games, and we were picking out the number one.
The number one fantasy scorer. That's correct. So week two. So what we're doing for week 2 is number 2s across the board. So we're gonna have a draft. We're gonna have quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a tight end. No flex. Not worried about the flex.
What? Really?
I've got plenty of plays. If you want to throw a flex in here, I'm more than happy to do that. I've got a heap of guys written down here, and it can be number 2 for any reason. It doesn't matter what it is. The only caveat which I sent to AJ and Ben was, if you wear number 11, 1 and 1 does not equal 2. And if you wear number 22, that is not number 2. If you have it's going to be the low number 2 on the jersey, if you're going to use the jersey for an example. But outside of that, anything to do with the number 2 is on the board. Hence why I'm wearing this, because I may have to state my case.
Okay, right. So
I'm representing myself today.
And I will mix in, if you don't already, the game, so we can mention the week 2 matchups. Okay.
Okay.
Who's going first?
Who's going first? Ready? Rock, paper, scissors. It might not work with 3, but let's do it.
Scissors,
you're out.
paper,
AJ, ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, you're first. Ben's up.
All right.
That delay didn't work for me at all. Robbed.
So my first pick as number 1 pick in the draft.
Same draft.
Yeah, I'm going to select a wide receiver. Okay.
Ooh.
This wide receiver, okay, is in his 2nd season.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
okay, so Justin Jefferson,
career high, 15 targets last week, and last year, okay, he in the first 5 weeks with his actual quarterback, he was number 6 in wide receivers. He had 433 yards. He went off last week. Didn't get the touchdowns, but was certainly very, very exciting to watch. It's CeeDee Lamb. It's your boy, G. CeeDee Lamb off the board. How can I look after last week?
He's my number 1. Top of my list. He's gone already. Got scribble him out.
Look, I mean, if he can do that against an impressive Bucks team, and I just think, the signs are there. You saw it last year, how good he connected with Dak. And the only reason why he probably didn't outproduce Justin Jefferson, I never said this, was because, Prescott went down. So, I think who've they got this week? They've got the Chargers. And you think, well, that defense last week at the Chargers didn't look amazing against a, pretty average offense with Washington. I know, Heineke did well, but they lost Fitz. Fitz was pretty stifled after the first 2 quarters as well. So I just think there's opportunity for Lamb to. I think this is going to be a shootout. I think this is going to be like Brady and Prescott was last week. I think it's going to be up to Herbert and Dak again to go. So CeeDee Lamb off the board.
Okay, well, wide receiver straight out of the bat. Okay, you must have some cards up your sleeves, mate, if you go on wide receiver first. I've got a few cards to play myself, so I'm going to go running back with my first.
It's not up your sleeves because they're too short, mate.
Yeah, they're too short. No, it's just they're in here somewhere. I'm going to go running back, and I've got a choice of a couple. I've got a choice of a fair few, actually, but I'm going to take Nick Chubb. Drafted in the second round in 2018. Second round out of Georgia.
Yeah.
Close loss to the Chiefs last week. I've already spoke about 15 carries, 83 yards, 5.5 yards a carry, 2 TDs, 2 for 18 receptions. Goes up against the Texans this week, who, mate, let's face it, we don't really know what the Texans are against running backs because, mate, the Jags only jogged out 14 touches to running backs last week, so we have absolutely no idea. But, mate, Nick Chubb looked absolutely fantastic last week. I know this is probably PPR scoring because that's what everything is. He's not a massive PPR guy, but if he runs like he did last week against, we don't even know if it's a worse or better defense because we didn't see, like I said, with running backs from the Jags. Chubb, my first player off the board at running back. So, AJ, on to you. No? Okay. No thoughts?
No, G, I like it. I actually, I think even the Chiefs obviously have issues at certain positions, but up front on the defensive line is not one of them. Chris Jones, Derek Nardi, they are tough, and Chubb made them look silly. Like he was great off the bat and hit his lanes beautifully. Very happy with that pick there for you, mate.
Thank you.
Okay.
AJ,
yep. All right.
I'm going to 2 in here, mate. So you got back to back.
Back to back. Well, I'm going to go.
I'm going to write these down because someone's going to have another bet this week because I have to put something on the line, double or nothing this week, or I'm in trouble.
I'm tempted to go back to back running back. Actually, I'm going to start with another second round running back.
He's an idiot. That Neil.
I'm going to go another second round running back, and that's Dalvin Cook. That was my other choice. The Vikings are at the Cards this week, and Dalvin Cook, the Vikings were a bit pass heavy. He did get 20 carries for 61 and a touchdown. Also had 6 catches for 43 on 7 targets. I mean, he's a running back you can rely on in a league that's full of committee backs. So Dalvin Cook is an easy selection, I think, here for what will be a cracking game. Minnesota.
Mate, Chandler Jones. What was it? Was it 5?
5 sacks. 4? Yeah. 5. It's fair to say that's not a pace that he can sustain.
No, but Cousins might be looking out the corner of his eye a fair bit on it.
Well, what's the chances of him getting a couple?
Yeah.
If he got 5, he could get a couple. Got to be working
he gave the old, pay me.
Yeah, that's right.
Love it. When you put up performances like that, that's when you can do it. Not after you do one pass in the NFL.
No, that's right. Yeah. Now for my second selection, so I am going to go back-to-back running back here. I'm going to go with the current number 2 rusher in the NFL, and that is Mr. Joe Mixon, who got last week 127 yards.
Yeah, well, you got it. Why is he his number? Why is he number 2?
He's number 2 in rushing.
Number 2 in rushing.
Sorry. Yeah. Give me that number 2 in rush so I get where you're at.
Yeah. Number 2 in rushing. So 127 yards, I don't think he got into the end zone. I'm just having a look here, but he did have 33 carries. So he's getting a massive workload. And as we mentioned before, what Ben was talking about, the Bengals, that whole team looks to be clicking. So, I think Joe Mixon, at least for now, I don't know if I've been a believer, not a believer, a believer, not a believer, and I've gotten off the Joe Mixon train. But at the moment, anyway, ride the train. He's looking good.
Well, if Daryl Henderson last week against the Bears, who they go up against this week, had 16 for 70 and 1 TD.
Yeah.
So if you sort of average that out, he's basically going to be the same as he was last week and add an extra TD on there. If you look at it, But I had Joe Mixon down as well. But I had a few reasons. He was the second in the draft. He was suspended twice in college. So that's why that was my main thing here. Was for a misdemeanor assault.
I think it was a 1-2 punch as well, wasn't it?
It was. We shouldn't laugh about that. It's not funny.
No, true.
But as time passes, and he also he was suspended for the second time for a parking citation incident in 2016. So that was my reason for Joe Mixon. Okay, so it's back to me.
Back to you.
In the middle. Ooh, okay. Should I go another running back? Because running backs are a little bit scarce. And, geez, I didn't like what I saw out of Derrick Henry last week. I can tell you that right now.
I'm so excited.
I don't think a lot of fantasy managers would have been happy with Derrick Henry last week. Let's put it that way.
No. AJ taking running back has really put me in a little spot of bother, to be honest. DeAndre Swift looked really good when he had the ball, but his backup, his number 2, just looked better.
Well, speaking of which, Jamal Williams is number 3 in the league right now, and number 4 is Swift. So you've got the two of them at 3 and 4 in rushing. I don't think that's going to sustain in that direction, to be honest. Swift is going to overtake him, G.
Yeah, but, mate, 11 for 39, he really relies on his receiving, doesn't he? 8 for 65 and the 1 TD for Swift.
Yep.
So if we're doing PPR, the other guy I was looking at was probably Jonathan Taylor, who had 116 all-purpose yards last week, but no TDs. I'll go with Swift. I'll go with the receptions out of the backfield. So, like I just said, he had 11 for 39 on the ground, 8 for 65 and 1 TD receptions. Goes up against the Packers this week, who allowed 4.3 yards a carry last week, and a receiving TD down to Kamara. So if I get another receiving TD and those same sort of numbers, I'd be pretty happy out of Swift. And I reckon after watching the Packers and how bad they looked, thank you. Something to choke a bit. I feel like my face is going red and cutting off the circulation to my brain. So I'll take Swift. It was a close one over Jonathan Taylor. The other one I had down there, obviously, with Derrick Henry, has Joe Mixon. I thought I might get him. But on what I saw last week, I'll take Swift over Derrick Henry, to be honest.
Okay, done. Back to you, Ben, and you'll have back-to-back.
The reason I took DeAndre Swift is his second year. His sophomore season.
Second year. Okay.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to go back-to-back here. I think the first one, I'm just going to get this out of the way. It's simple. The number 2 scoring tight end from week 1. Don't worry about it. Don't think about any drop off in, targets or anything like that. Just give me 7 targets, 6 receptions, 76 yards, and 2 touchdowns for Travis Kelce and the Kansas City Chiefs. We just talked about Patrick Mahomes.
Hold on. Why has he got 2? Not based on touchdowns.
Nah, it's based on he's the second highest scoring tight end from week 1 so far this year.
Oh, that's good. I didn't look at that.
And like,
that's good. That's a good one. I'll give you that, dude.
only beaten by Rob Gronkowski, everybody's favorite 15th round pick as a tight end in the drafts this year. But let's talk about Kelce. They're going up against the Baltimore Ravens, who, if you watch the game the other night, what is going on with their defense? Like Derek Carr, he absolutely lit them up at all levels. I think particularly at linebacker, they are really struggling. They've got, Patrick Queen he's a gun, but they're so inexperienced and they're a little bit all over the place. And that's where Kelce does his damage. He does his damage by mismatching against linebackers, coming out of the backfield, down the hashes. So, I'm gonna just get Kelce in there, and you can take that.
Doesn't
to the
he dominate? He dominates. And I took some fantasy tilts at Byron Pringle this offseason. It's like past Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, you may as well not bother. Everybody else is going to get little bits and pieces. Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce are going to get a ton, and they dominate. Oh my goodness,
I'm getting really hot. We have to. Can we throw flex? We have to throw a flex in too, because there's a heap of players still on here. So
yeah, we'll throw a flex in, sure.
Yeah, we'll throw a flex in. Also because I screwed up, but so I need my flex to have one of my players. Get one of my players. So it's all about me. Okay, so
you've got another one, Ben.
Ben.
No,
yes,
Ben's got another.
He's on the turn.
Look, I've taken
that Travis Kelce one, mate. That's good.
That's good.
I never thought of that.
I thought about it because obviously I haven't taken a running back yet, and we've got to pick 2 running backs, and the number 2 is a tough one for running backs. But I'm not going to go running back with my second pick. All right, I am going to go with a guy who has won 7 Super Bowls. He's won 5 Super Bowl MVPs. Yeah, he has been the passing touchdown leader 4 times.
Still waiting for the number 2.
Yeah, I know what it is.
He is with his second team in his career only, and he goes up against what we've just heard from our analysts is the worst defense in the NFL this year. It's Tom. It is indeed. It's Tom Brady. Start them all. You just said it. Start them all. They've got the Falcons. I feel, I felt sorry for Mike Evans last week just because he was the one guy who didn't, get all the targets and all the love. I think everybody else did. But I don't know why I'm thinking of any other person than Tom Brady for my
that's
one.
A good pick. That's a great. That's here's at the top of my list until I came up with why I've got this on today. That's a great up against the Falcons. He's just he's just got to run right. Seriously,
zero RB is the thing, right? 0 RB drafting is the thing.
Well,
apparently. Yeah. So I'm gonna go.
Okay.
The Falcons D, by the way, could be described as number 2s.
That's true. I actually had to qualify whether that counted with you earlier.
After a big night of Indian and drinking on the Indian. That's so bad. Okay. Well, I'm going to bring Your Honor. I'm going to pick a quarterback because I'm going to leave AJ with not much. So my quarterback, who gets paid $1.60 a second, $96 per minute, $5,742 an hour, $137,808 a day, $50.3 million a year, and we'll end up after 10 years get paid $503 million. And why am I bringing this all up? Because my quarterback is on his second contract. And his name is Patrick Mahomes.
I
Thank
was
you, Your Honour.
looking down. I was looking
Nothing.
for the 2. I couldn't see it. I was thinking, come on, how are you going to bring this back?
I rest my case.
I
More to be said.
I'm scrambling through the laws of the state of Kansas here to try and find some way to dismiss the jury, because that is scandalous, but it has to be allowed, I suppose.
Yeah, well, it's all about the 2s.
Yeah.
So thank you. I'll take that.
As Ben already mentioned, the Chiefs up against the Ravens, and their defense didn't look that hot.
Mm-hmm.
Mind you, a marquee game and a game in which Lamar Jackson has to really... What's that?
Neither did the quarterback.
No, that's right. Well, no, I didn't think he played badly, but I think their offense is lacking.
Mate, seriously, if he doesn't run, he's terrible. Mate, he's not a good thrower of the football. I'm sorry, he's not a good thrower of the football.
I think, what I was most disappointed was, I mentioned Kyler Murray earlier, and, everything we talked about with Kyler Murray earlier, scrambling around last year, using his feet, everything that Lamar Jackson does. But the difference between Lamar Jackson, what we saw this year, compared to Kyler Murray, was that clearly Murray has worked on his throwing, and he's worked on how he's going to, work with his targets downfield. Lamar Jackson, it just looked like I'm scrambling every time. He's going to keep it open. He's going to keep the option, but it was literally a lottery what he was going to do every play, it seemed.
Yeah, he's, to me, still without a doubt, he's the best open field runner in the NFL of any wide receivers, running backs, I don't care who. He makes people look absolutely second rate. The way
he's got the best cut in the league.
Oh,
any other running back can't deal with it.
No.
But
all right.
Okay. All right. So I get back to back here. I get back to back. So my first pick, I'm going to go with the person who is number 2 in passing currently. And that is Mr. Dak Prescott. I do need to pull it out here because both of you have picked very, very good quarterbacks. So Mr. Dak Prescott, who passed for 403 yards. And as Ben mentioned, the Cowboys up against the Chargers this week. And I do think that's got shootout written all over it. I think that's going to be a highly entertaining game. The Dallas defense, I think, is, a bit average, and the Chargers defense, they're not quite there. Showed some things, but they're not quite there. So I think this is going to be really an offensive football game, and definitely one to look forward to. And I think Dak looks great, and that Dallas receiving core looks great. CD looked fantastic. So Dak is my quarterback. And I'm going to I'm just writing it down. So I'm going to go tight end with my next pick.
I've got him down.
Oh, okay. I'm going to go tight end with my next pick. And at least we can ride him now. Who knows how long he lasts, although
that doesn't sound good.
Well, he's 32 years old. I think he's playing like he's 22. He caught 100% of his targets, 90 yards and 2 touchdowns, and that is Mr. Rob Gronkowski, who looks amazing. He was drafted in the 2nd round in 2010. 2nd round draft pick, 2010. He looks incredible, and given that they're playing the Falcons, you've got to think that he's a good chance for another touchdown this week, at least. But he just is dominating, at least for now. Let's see how he holds up. So
the only problem I have with Gronk this week is I could see Tom going up to Gronk and saying, dude, I gave you 2 last week. We're playing against the Falcons.
Got to look after Mike.
We all know how bad. Yeah, we all know how bad. Yeah, Mike didn't have a good week last week. Do you mind if I just sort of
spread them around a little bit. I know, mate, you won't mind about it because you're here to have fun and we're having a great time. And Gronk could just go, mate, do whatever, mate. He goes, I won't even run my route. I'll just block when we get down there. Don't worry. That's the only fear that I have with Brady because he seems to share the love a fair bit for a quarterback.
And you know, he's a very likable guy. He seems to be appearing in all these commercials. I keep seeing these commercials. There's this insurance one where he calls up and he tries to get insurance with that Army insurance company.
Actually, what's one for him today where he goes to the sports store? I think it was I don't know if it was last year or a couple of years ago, but it just came up on when I was going through YouTube. And the guy has a go at him about his accent, saying he's from Boston. Have you seen that one?
No.
And he gets really pissed off. It's a good ad. It's a good ad.
I think he's just a guy who's he's easy to like. He's just having fun out there.
Yeah.
He's
proven people wrong as he's doing it. And that's the best part. That's what he's enjoying the most about it.
Exactly. Okay, back to you, G. Back to you.
Ooh, okay. I shouldn't have. The Swift one really annoyed me. Okay, so I want to get rid of this because I'm starting to get really hot. So I'm going to bring out my flex already.
What?
Yes, I'm bringing out my flex because I need to get rid of the suit because I'm getting quite hot and starting to choke on this because I'm not used to wearing a shirt and tie. Controversial this is. My flex spot is a running back, and his name is Christian McCaffrey. Whoa! Let me tell you why.
Order!
He's got 2 feet. Is that why?
He is the second child to Ed McCaffrey and his mother Lisa.
Get out! Get out!
Objection!
I don't have to give you his stats.
Objection,
I only
Your
have to
Honor.
give you the fact that this whole show is based on the number 2. I said from the get-go that it is open slather on anything except numbers adding up to 2 or having the 2 on your jersey.
Dude.
Well, G, I've just seen a...
So just because someone went and did a little bit of digging
Listen.
and did some real research and actually used a bit of the old left field, you guys aren't happy about that because this is pretty much...
Every player in the NFL's got 2 testicles, G. Come on.
Mate, not every player in the NFL is the number 2 child.
G, I've just seen a report.
I could have gone with 2 legs, 2 arms, 2 eyes.
I've just seen a report here from the Carolina Star, and it says that Ed McCaffrey actually has an illegitimate son who was born second. He's currently the 4th backup tight end on the Falcons, but they don't. He doesn't want to, admit that that's his son. So
okay.
There's some evidence there we need to look into.
Mate, did I not say it is open to anything with the number 2 in it, to both of you?
That's
yes,
fine.
but I think Ben and I have played it with a much straighter bat.
Whose fault is that? Whose fault is that they use so much? I can't remember which side is your creative side. Is it your right side or your left side?
Well,
I don't know.
See, you guys, 2 + 2 = 4. Me, it doesn't.
Do you know, G? I would have actually accepted it if you'd have said that McCaffrey had led the team in 2 separate categories last week, both rushing and receiving. I would have actually thought that would have been a better argument than second born.
Anything counts. I just wanted to bring something different to the pod. I think I have.
Yeah, it's just the whole ball too.
Well, AJ, I don't know about you, but I'm putting in a strong objection with the judge.
Right. You can file it, but I'll keep it in the courts for years. Don't you worry. It'll be in the court for years.
It sounds like, I mean, color me cynical. It sounds like you picked CMC and went looking for a reason.
Oh, I did. Oh, hell yeah. Oh, hell yes. But isn't the whole day you go looking for something when you want to make your point?
Well, I was looking for number 2s and then selecting from those.
Run
Fancy that.
CMC. Done. And you can lodge your complaints, and mate, I'll just lock it up in courts for years to come. Won't see the light of day until this is long gone. This podcast.
Is there anything you want to say about his projected performance this week? Does that really matter?
No, it didn't matter at all.
The Saints.
It didn't matter at all.
I mean, we've spoken about the Packers, but they certainly bottled up Aaron Jones, although that whole Packers performance was pretty subpar.
Yeah.
I'm gonna obviously I'm not gonna go with Christian McCaffrey with my second pick, but I am gonna stay with the Carolina Panthers. And one of the most beautiful things this year has been, why the hell is that guy wearing that number on his shirt? He's an offensive lineman. So, I'm going to go for the guy in Carolina who wears the number 2 jersey. He's a wide receiver. He's everybody's favorite wide receiver in Carolina. He's DJ Moore.
With all the wide receivers that are on this list, you're going, mate, DJ Moore didn't even make my list. And I've got 8 guys.
Gee, I don't know how many second cousins and second wives and stuff are going to be on your list. I'm guessing, knowing the private lives of NFL players, I'm going to...
Oh, mate, I looked up 2 wives. I looked up everything.
But
sugar mamas, whatever they called, sugar dadders or sugar mamas or whatever they call them.
I just think that...
Okay.
I just think that DJ Moore is a really strong option for this week. Yes, it's the Saints, but what I think I saw last week with Sam Darnold was a real commitment to using DJ Moore in this offense. Last year, through the first 3 weeks, he had less than 20 targets in the first 3 weeks, did DJ Moore. And everyone was like, "Ooh, I'm worried about the quarterback. I'm worried about this. I'm worried about that." But last week you saw a commitment. He got touches rushing the ball as well. I mean, his box score, it didn't jump off the page. It wasn't amazing. He had 8 targets, 6 catches for 80 yards, and a couple of rushes for 24. So he topped his 100 yards. But he wears the number 2 jersey. So, I'm trying to play this game fair and straight. And I just think that, only Christian McCaffrey out-touched him in terms of receptions last week. 9 targets, 9 for 89. And I just don't think the Saints are going to allow McCaffrey to do what he did last week. So I think Darnold's going to be looking between the hashes. We've talked the only weakness I can see a little bit in this Saints line, it is in the linebacker position. Zach Bourne, second-year player, good player, but struggles in coverage, and he's going to be the guy picking up the slot. So I just think that DJ Moore could be in for a good day at the office this year.
Yeah. 8 catches, 65 yards, no TDs. Good day. Good day.
Yeah.
Good day.
Okay, you got another one.
Your second one. Mate, you were doing so well. CD Lamb, Travis Kelce, TB12, and then you go and throw DJ Moore in there. But that's okay.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Who have you got? So you need 2 running backs and a flex. So here we go.
Yeah. So I'm gonna stick with my 0 RB strategy. All right. And we're gonna go back to a matchup that we've already talked about. Sorry, AJ, but I'm
a bit nervous you haven't got an RB. All right, have you got something up your sleeve? Have you got a second child up your sleeve or something? Have you?
Well, maybe. Suddenly the market's open big time.
It's been open the whole time.
No, I'm going for the wide receiver 2 in Minnesota on ADP. Okay, so wide receiver 2 on ADP and on the depth chart probably as well when you look at targets. Adam Thielen. Okay, Adam Thielen's ADP.
Is he really, mate?
He's 50.
I'll give you part of it, but I won't give you that. He's not the wide receiver 2 on his team. He's on the depth chart. He's number 1.
He's number 1 in one of the wide receiver positions. Okay. Which one of the wide receiver positions is more important?
From a dynasty perspective, he's the second best wide receiver.
I think, looking at ADP and redraft as well. So Justin Jefferson.
Gang it up here, I see.
I'll back you, Ben. You back me later.
Cheers, mate.
So this is your flex spot.
So flex spot, I think, think about ADP 50, Jefferson 23, adding another 2 touchdowns in week 1 there, G. So, adding bit of backup, kind of evidence there for you. But I think what we saw last week was when push came to shove with Cousins, he had to just go to his safety blanket, and that's Thielen down the middle, safe, reliable guy who you can have a massive, good ceiling on every week. We've talked about the Cardinals and Vikings matchup. It could be a high scoring one. And I think Thielen's going to at least go for another 2 TDs this week.
Very good.
Back to you, G.
Okay, so I don't have to worry about tight end because both of you have Gronk and Kelsey. That Kelsey one's still pissed off about that. I didn't look that up. After all the work I did for Run CMC, I didn't even look up who was number 2 on the. So I'm going to leave my tight end till last now. So what am I after? I have absolutely no wide receivers, so I need 2 wide receivers here. And look, geez, there's an absolute ton on here. Who can I take? Ooh. Well, the Titans looked absolutely terrible last week. Absolutely terrible. So I might seeing they're at home this week and Russ is airing it out. I'm going to go the second round draft out of Mississippi. 4 for 60 and a touchdown in week 1. He's far better than that. He was overshadowed by his little brother who went 4 for 100. I'm going to take DK Metcalf as my number 1 wide receiver. They just, like the Titans last week, gave up 4 touchdowns and almost just a touch under 300 yards to Kyler Murray.
I was going to say.
And I think, Russ at home could easily put up those numbers. So DK Metcalf loves playing in Seattle, loves the home crowd. Who doesn't when everybody's cheering your name? He's going to be my number 1 wide receiver this week. I'll take that. Thank you.
Sounds good. Doesn't sound as good as my receiver I'm going to pick now.
It doesn't even sound as good as my flex, but let's move on.
This is week 2, mate. Not what happened in week 1.
No, very true. Very true. So I'm going to pick the player that is the current number 2 in receptions at the wide receiver position, and that is Mr. Tyreek Hill.
I thought it was Adam Humphries.
No. Tyreek
Hill,
who had 11 receptions for 197 yards and a touchdown.
Where did he give his number 2 in receptions?
Yeah.
Yep.
Look it up. Damn it.
And as we've mentioned already a couple of times, the Chiefs are playing at the Ravens, so we won't cross that off again.
But I looked up Tyreek Hill, see how many wives he'd had, how many times he's been arrested. I looked at everything about Tyreek Hill to get him on my squad, and I just had to look up leader in receptions.
Second in receptions. Yep. And for my second one, you know what? It's hard. It's funny to describe this guy as a dark horse. After last week, it sounds like he's a dark horse.
Sorry, AJ.
This is a guy who was drafted in the second round in 2014, and that is Devontae Adams. We're looking at the bounce back. Even with the horrible game that the Packers had, he still led the team in receptions and yards. And they're up against the Lions this week, which you've got to think is a perfect opportunity for a bounce back. Although the Lions did play well, I think this is Green Bay getting back on track this week, and he's going to eat. So Devontae Adams is my second wide receiver.
Good, nice team happening there, AJ.
Cheers.
I must admit. Okay, so I need another wide receiver because I'm going to leave my tight end till last. I need to look up some more tight end stats now. Bloody hell. Who can I take? Look, I'm going to take the guy who I think might be the recipient of Tom Brady's love this week, and he's number 2 on the depth chart at Tampa, and that's Chris Godwin. Played against the Falcons. Need I say any more? Mate, they were blown out by Jalen Hurts, who we already spoke about last week. Jalen Reagor had 6 for 49 a touch. Now, Godwin's way better than Jalen Reagor. He's 3 times the player. So I'm just going to times that by 3. So that's what's that? That's about 147 yards, 3 TDs.
Can we ask here, like, so if Thielen isn't second on the depth chart in Minnesota, where's Godwin? Who's Godwin behind?
Mike Evans is number 1 on the depth chart on the team's depth chart. Mike Evans is number 1.
Which side? The right or the left or the?
No, if you look on our ESPN, they actually have them like who's 1, 2. Not our lads has them like the position that they play.
So the actual positions, yeah.
Yeah. So I go by ESPN.
You go ESPN, all right.
Because I looked at our lads, I said I can't go with that. I need to find where Chris Godwin's number 2.
Well, I tell you what, I think ESPN was bought by Disney last year, and this is becoming a fantastical tale. I tell you that. This is a fairy tale stuff.
So Chris Godwin. So we look at what Brady did last week: 4 TDs, 379 yards, and the Cowboys' defense is way better, which is hard to believe, isn't it, than the Falcons? So I think Chris Godwin's good for at least a 1, and mate, he could pop off 100 this week. Like anybody on the Bucs could put up a massive score this week. It's just you got to guess the right one. So I'll go Chris Godwin as my number 2 wide receiver. I sort of like that. Chris Godwin. Okay, nice. AJ, back to you. No, Ben.
Is it me?
Yes, this is your
my 2 running back.
Yeah, to finish off your squad.
All right. Well, the first running back I'm going to go with is he wears the number 2 jersey. Another number 2 jersey guy. Last week, he had 16 touches. He went for 106 yards. And when I was watching the game, it felt like the Titans linebackers were like on 1.5 speed with Benny Hill music like playing in the background. It was like, and he was just running.
That's not Benny Hill, dude.
Is that not?
No, Benny Hill is. I love Benny Hill. I'm such a sexist. I used to love Benny Hill.
And this week he's up against the Vikings, who already have Anthony Barr missing. There's rumors that Eric Kendricks might miss the game as well, and that just spells absolute disaster for the Vikings. And that's Chase Edmonds. I'm going to stick he's number 1 on the chart there. He had 16 touches, 106 yards. He's a guy who I think is underrated, and he could really go off this week against the Vikings. They give him three touches in the red zone last week, had 1 pulled back by a penalty. So Chase Edmonds is my number 1.
Mate, Chase Edmonds, what did he have, 106 yards?
Yeah.
Mate, that is the most under the radar 106 yards. Look, I watch every game, and if someone said, how many yards did Chase Edmonds have, I would have given like half of that. Do you know what I mean? It just didn't seem like he had that many yards.
Yeah, I think he's a guy who I think this year is just a really solid fantasy, value all across the board. Look, anyway, the second one, and I'm going to stick my neck out here because I know some second round picks, which is a popular option tonight, are still available here. But I'm going to go for a guy who is playing his second career game. Okay, second career game for this guy.
Oh, that's good. Second game, that's good. I like that.
He was the only running back last week to play all of his team's offensive snaps, 58. It was a negative game script because they were down by 10 at halftime, so it was a bit of a tough one. But this week he's up against the Raiders, who we know are just leaky all across the defense. And if this guy is going to play all the offensive snaps again, they're going to get ahead and he's going to get plenty of work. Pittsburgh Steelers running back rookie Najee Harris is my second pick there to break out in week 2 and give everyone some new picks.
Hey, you got the Falcons on underneath.
I can't shake it. That's good. Second game. That's a nice. I didn't even think of that either.
What I just watched there was like Superman, but when he lost his powers, and he's got.
I thought it was more like Magic Mike, but that's okay. Najee Harris is good. Like this is a weird thing. Is I thought I was pretty smart going and picking up these guys that had second wives and been arrested twice, and the obvious just pretty much just passed me by. Just the way the brain works, isn't it? Unbelievable.
Well, I think my first thought was probably a bit more like AJ, like okay, let's have a look at the stats, let's have a look at the numbers across the board. I didn't immediately go to how many incarcerations, how many wives, how many, so it's total mind thing there, G. You're 100% right.
I need to start. I should have done a bit more research now because I reckon I should come up with a better tight end, but I didn't. So my tight end, I actually thought Gerald Everett looked okay last week. He had the 2 catches, but 2 for 20 and a touchdown. That's what 10 fantasy points for a tight end. That's pretty good.
It's good.
But the guy I went for, unfortunately, didn't get the touchdown. His other tight end on the team got it, but he was the second tight end taken in the 2019 draft out of Iowa. I'm going to go with Noah Fant. So week 1, he had 6 for 62, no touchdowns, a good, solid outing. Albert O, as I said, took the touchdown. Week 2 comes up against the Jags. They gave up just under 300 yards, 2 TDs, with Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod, how do you pronounce it? Tyrod.
Currently in the MVP conversation.
Currently, yeah. And they gave up 4 for 67, who was the second in yards for the team, and that's Pharaoh. Yeah. Walks like an Egyptian. Brown. I'm just guessing just a little bit that Noah Fant's just a little bit better than Pharaoh Brown, who's in his. Geez, how long's he been around? I've never even heard of the guy. He's been in the season for is it 7 years or something?
I don't think it's quite that long. Maybe 5. Maybe 5
years. Yeah.
Certainly, when I clicked on him, I thought I was going to see that he was like a second-year player or something.
I thought he might be a rookie I didn't hear about.
Yeah. No. He's been in the league for a minute.
Yeah, so if he's the second on yards for the team, I'm guessing that Noah Fant's got a pretty good, and especially now that Jerry Jeudy's gone for a while with the high ankle sprain. Geez, he's lucky that's all it was.
Oof.
That getting trapped underneath looked really bad.
High ankle sprain, bad news though.
Yeah, so and it's the first year that I've ever owned Jerry Jeudy, and I got him in 3 redraft leagues. So so there you go. So Noah Fant for me at the tight end position.
All right. Well, I get to close this out, right?
Yes.
So this is my flex, and I'm going to go. You know what? Sometimes it's good to go a little bit crazy with your flex, or not crazy. Maybe throw caution to the wind a tiny bit.
Like run CMC crazy.
No, that's criminal. That's criminal, not crazy. So I'm going to go with the guy who had a week. He had a week, and he was picked in the second round, 2019. In an offense where the number one wide receiver appears to be in the quote unquote doghouse. We don't really quite know. Kyle Shanahan is a mystery man. He's the only one who seems to really know what's going on there. But Mr. Deebo Samuel, we're finally seeing the potential of this guy who is just a fantastic football player. Don't put him into any box. He is just a fantastic football player. 9 receptions for 189 yards and a touchdown. And the Niners are playing at the Eagles. That Eagles defense is, not much chop either, I would say. And, that I think is going to have potential to be a shootout as well. Jalen Hurts should see the Eagles defense flying. We didn't talk about Miles Sanders. He didn't really come up, but did he have a week last week too?
He did.
He was a second round pick. He was on my list as well. He nearly made it.
Some of the guys. Sorry, go on, Ben.
Yeah, go on. No, go on, G. Yeah.
No, I was going to say some of the guys that missed out since you brought up Miles Sanders, Joe Burrow, David Montgomery, Justin Jefferson, T. Higgins. Did anybody pick up Jonathan Taylor? No. Mike Williams. These are guys second on the depth chart. Mike Williams, Cooper Kupp, Tyler Lockett. Second team guys that no one picked up. Robert Woods, Allen Robinson, Stephen Diggs. Guys that wear number 2, Matt Ryan.
Also, guys that wear number 2, famous Jameis.
Yeah, guys that went second round of the draft. We had guys like Gerald Everett, but AJ Brown. No one picked up AJ Brown. Miles Sanders, Juju Smith-Schuster. No one picked up Derrick Henry, who went under a couple of categories actually, which is also wore the number 2 jersey in college.
Oh, nice.
Who else did I have? That's about Jalen Hurts, who wears the number 2 as quarterback.
Nice.
So there's just some of the guys. Julio Jones, also on his second team. And one Eagles too.
AJ, I reckon that the Niners Eagles games is going to be one of the most interesting ones this week because, obviously Niners played the Lions last week, horrendous defense in a lot of, turnover. We've already talked about the defense that Jalen Hurts played last week. So I think you get a bit more of a sense check of where those two teams are. And it's funny, like, who's in the doghouse, who's not in the doghouse. Like, Brandon Ayuk killed me in a couple of leagues last week. Like, really did. Just that's the kind of stuff that as a fantasy player, you just can't plan for. You can't, no matter how much you read, how much, they keep it so close to their chests, it just kills you.
Well, there's rumors out there that Ayuk and Sermon broke curfew. Apparently, because when you look at the camp reports on Trey Sermon, they're all glowing and positive. So the fact that he was inactive, and then with Ayuk just being kind of basically hardly on the field at all, and was it Trent Sherfield essentially getting the bulk of the snaps, then it just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. But there were some reports that it was a bit of a breaking curfew punishment thing, which is bizarre.
The other thing that kind of surprised me was that the Niners picked up Trenton Cannon off waivers this week as well. Like, you just think, hang on a minute, like another running back? Like you're already trying to pick who you actually is going to get the carries in San Francisco. I mean Elijah Mitchell looked great last week, and I think was probably the most picked up guy on waivers with fab money as well this week. So
again against the Lions defense, it's pretty blah blah blah.
Yeah. But, I think that's a really interesting game in terms of sense checking those two teams for sure.
Someone else I didn't mention, Antonio Gibson, we didn't mention, but he's already played, so hence why he wasn't in this week because he already played on Thursday night. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire is another one. Sorry.
Also Taylor Heineke. I mean, the number 2 on the depth chart, right? He balled out and was fantastic for Washington.
I can't see him being picked over TB12, Mahomes, and Dak Prescott. But stranger things do happen. So I'll just quickly run through.
When you know how many he scored already, G, you might as well. You want to take the points, right? Take the points and move on.
Beautiful throw to Sills Jones too. Okay, so go through Ben's team. Quarterback, Tom Brady. At running back, he has Chase Edmonds and Najee Harris. At wide receiver, he has CD Lamb, DJ Moore, and his flex spot is Adam Thielen. AJ's team will do first. His quarterback is Dak Prescott. His running back.
Tight end, G. Who's the tight end?
Yours?
Yeah.
Travis Kelce.
Yeah, just wanted to make sure you included him there.
I didn't include tight end?
No.
Oh, sorry.
I heard him. No.
Travis Kelce.
Double the champagne order now, G.
AJ's team, as I said, Dak Prescott. His running backs are Cook and Mixon. His wide receivers are Tyreek Hill and Devontae Adams. Looks good on paper.
This looks good on paper. This does look good on paper.
His tight end is Rob Gronkowski, and his flex is Deebo Samuel. My team is I got Patrick Mahomes on his second contract. My running backs are Chubb and Swift. My wide receivers are DK Metcalf and Chris Godwin. And my flex, my tight end is Noah Fant, and my flex is Run See you in court. So there we have it. So I'll keep those teams down, and we'll check at the end of the week, and we'll see who comes out in front. Is there anything on this week? I can't afford any more of this champagne. I look at some. There's this really good champagne made in Australia. It's called Yellow. I don't know if you've heard of
it. Has it got a tail? Is it?
Oof. Yeah, the tail is you don't get off the toilet for a while. That's Okay, so done. Finished.
Done. Okay, let's wrap this puppy up. So anyway, it's fantastic to have NFL back, and I think we had a fantastic week 1, and we had a great Thursday night football game. So it's great to see NFL back for sure. Let's look forward to a fantastic week 2, although there's a lot of players going on IR. So I think that we can expect this year, and maybe with the expanded season a little bit, we might see some caution from teams where, they still have that COVID rule in place where you can put a player on IR for 3 weeks, and teams might be inclined to do that a little bit. So it's exciting to have NFL back. So bring it on. We have to get just this week, we're getting in the habit of doing all our waiver wires again and all that sort of stuff. It's coming back to us. Waiver wire season's so busy.
Oh,
mate, I'm out. Leagues.
Oh, man. I'm definitely having – I've already decided after week 1, I'm having a big cull next year.
Oh, of leagues. Yeah.
I think
it's too much. Waiver wire time is too much.
Yeah.
The one thing that really struck me in a couple of the games, we talked about it, I think, after the Bucks Cowboys opener, was, you saw SoFi Stadium and Allegiant Stadium full to the brim with fans, and just that atmosphere that, over here in Australia, we're struggling to meet up with one other person, right? So, it's just amazing to watch it, and I actually feel quite emotional sometimes when I see it. Thinking when am I actually going to be able to do that again? Which you know, you took it for granted, right? You took it for granted so much that, yeah, if I go down and watch a game or go down and watch blah, 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 will we ever get to the US and watch a game in the States? You know, like it's really interesting for me.
There's a big meetup in Richmond today, Ben.
I've been pretty tired all week, AJ. I fancied a sit down, so I was thinking that I might have gone down there and sat down there for a bit.
Oh, on Friday, yeah, I did some lunch. I went and parked the table in the middle of Melbourne.
Yeah,
because you know, with everything going on, I'm really upset I can't have, you know, smoko with the guys in the shed. Yeah. Anyway, there's a lot of things going on. You know, a lot of people suffering a lot more than people that have been able to work.
Of course. So anyway, okay. I won't open that.
No, don't open that can of worms.
That can of worms. So enjoy your week, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Have a fantastic week. Look after yourselves. Look after your health, and we will catch you next time. On behalf of G, Ben, and myself, have a week. We'll see you later.